Well, let's see. Is it live or is it Memorex? Hello, everybody. How you doing? It says it is. It's Thursday, so thank you for tuning in and taking time out of your journey to be a part of all of our journeys. It's amazing. I had just the most phenomenal thing. So I don't know if many of you who studied the witchcraft series, and it just goes on because it never ends, but have you heard that when when something comes to you in rhymes, you know it's always arrived on time. When one casts a spell, one must see that it always must be three, and it must rhyme in its time. So you see how that goes? And so anyway, yeah, that was an interesting experience. So hello everybody. Hello Timothy and Crafty Child and Dragon Soul Fox. I love that. Lori, how are you doing? Lost in Space and John Price, Darth, good to see you. Hadley, greetings. Emperor Rex, namaste. Rob, how are you doing? David Castle, hello. Haven't seen David Barry. I hope he's doing okay. I hope Al is doing okay. I hope he's getting some rest. Hello, Twisted Isby. How are you doing? Hillard, hello. Lynn Ketter, good to see you. Bernadette. Hello, Tracy. Good to see you as well. Cheers. We're in for a big blow here this evening. Really big windstorm. It's going to be part of this really cold weather that's going to hit particularly the East Coast all the way down to the Gulf Coast. So um, get ready, folks. Well, thank you, Lori. Yeah, this is back to regular attire. Uh, although, I never complain about wearing a suit and tie. I think that, as ZZ Top says, you know, people, now their lyrics is every woman loves a well-dressed man, and I think that's true. So snowing there. Wow. Interesting. Interesting. Hello, Grandpa. Good to see you. Speaking, that's a perfect segue. David with Adapt 2030 next Wednesday. Folks, you know, when you see people that just put it all out on the line, and then when those things become actual things, yeah, you want to listen up. All right, so got this from Leslie. Thank you, Leslie. As I understand it, by the way, let me just invoke favor upon all of us, loving favor, that kind of favor that covers you like a warm oil. And may there be nothing missing, nothing broken in your life. Hey, carry that over to the other side. Man, you talk about some fantastic manifestations. You think to yourself that moment you transcend over there. And the question is there going to be a committee waiting for you? Hmm. You know, there's not so much one here other than your loving parents if you had them. And so, yeah. But if you say, nothing missing, nothing broken, favor be upon you, you're going to be fine. So, anyway, I digress. Uh, so, this is the year of doubles, 2020. And according to what Leslie sent here, there are going to be group meditations. Um, Dates May 5th, June 6th, July 7th. You see where this is going, all the way to 12/12. Um, and of course, the grand finale group meditation on 12/21, the winter solstice, and also the great Saturn Jupiter conjunction, which happens to fall directly on the halfway mark between the two great North American eclipses that will mark an X on the United States 7 years apart. Yeah, that's been a really weird thing. We were up there in Wyoming to see the full eclipse, and that was a strange experience. Um, and we do have plans of being along the path of totality for the one coming up, but 7 years, yeah. And if you look at this, we're entering into the second half of the 3.5 years. If happen to play into that role. Pluto will also be extremely close at that point of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. All three of these will all take place on the same day, 12/21/2020. She wrote, I would purpose that on those double days, people should meditate for the first 20 minutes of the 11 o'clock hours, one or both of them, as they fall in your time zone to create a rolling event, as well as a 24-hour event that will go twice around the world. I dig that. Focused on only ideas of beauty, favor, I'll put that in there. Eventually, I hope to see that the community, the you know, awakening community, whatever that's called, start using the word favor. Love can be ambiguous, but anyway, in love for the world, which are worthy of going with us into the new earth we are now creating. Yeah. Uh, Thank you, Leslie. I dig that. Yeah. Listen, someone created this freaking reality. Don't know who. I can only suspect that it used us. Yesterday's program blew a lot of people away. It's not one that's going to receive 100,000 views, but those who do watch it, it changes you because it opens up your third eye into another construct. I have not ever seen it written about that. That's odd. I'm seeing myself in a delay. That's weird. There is a there is a break in the matrix. But you see, I come upon that reality. The internet's not what we think it is. It's 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 from a place we have no idea about. And look what it did to us. It took us over, all of us. It impacts our consciousness, our perceptions of reality itself. Folks, that's not a benevolent, inanimate thing. That's a conscious, sentient thing. And it took this planet over with virtual ease. We are so malleable, humans are. We really are. Um, we get programmed so easily. And I don't know what its plans are for us, but we can see that whatever this is unlike anything we've seen. Speaking of which, tonight on the Steiger Perspective, artistfirst.com, 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain, it's the title of the show is They Broke It. And one of the things I want to share with you that I'll get into extensively um, on the program will in fact be dealing with this right here, folks. Um, that is the national debt clock. Folks, by the time you add everything on this chart, and you can see it's extensive, right now, each of us owe nearly $500,000. When you add in everything else, the private debt, which is over 14.3 trillion, state, local taxes, etc., excise taxes, when all of that debt is put on, and here you can see the unfunded liabilities, nearly $150 trillion, it puts a person who say, let's 18 is entering the workforce. Isn't it odd? It's called workforce. Are you being forced or is it a force? But they're in almost $1 million in debt before they start out in life. Folks, tune in. It will be very interesting. I can assure you, it's going to be very, very eye-opening. It's sobering. And if you look into, you see my crystal ball back there. I got several of them. And yeah, yeah. So tune in. You'll enjoy it. Um, so yesterday we've been talking about this. This is part of Tesla. It's part of the synthetic telepathy. It's part of really beginning to connect all the dots of things that are happening. This world, this thing called planet Earth. I live in a place they call the United States, in a state that's called Colorado. Um, it is one freaking bizarre freak show. It is a reality that is beyond comprehension. Um, so many voices, so many thoughts, things have accelerated, and I don't even think we've reached the maximum force thrust. I think whatever is pressing the accelerator, it's still got a long ways to go. And um, we had events here where I live. We're in Denver. People are really freaking out, man. You're hearing of some of the strangest things people are doing. And what we find ourselves in today, folks, I'll just be candid with you. I didn't see anyone in the truther community a year ago mention anything like this. I didn't see anyone in the metaphysical community mention anything like this. I didn't see anyone in the witchcraft, the occult, mention anything like this. So that tells me obviously we're not connected, or two, we don't have a freaking clue as to what's really happening. But no doubt something is happening. We're witnessing it. We're living it. We are living in a time of history. I'm going to be very curious as to how it's going to be written, because history is written through the perspective of the victor, not the victim. And I don't think we're the victor in this. I don't see that scenario playing out. Again, I'm just stating. Show me if you got something that a person a year ago was describing this. 'Cause I can't find it. I did research on it, went on Google Scholar, was looking for it. Can't find it. So what? What happened here? Did we just get blindsided? Or is this the result of something, again, as I said, using metaphorically the term, the genie is out of the bottle? And it ain't like any genie that we were told. And I still contend, I have a program that I did 2.5 years ago, and I'm going to revisit again, where I specifically showed the day was, and it's here, where, folks, we're not even going to know the difference. That's the scary thing that I see about this. I believe it has the ability to change our memories. I mean, yeah, we have memories of recall. I have a very great memory. My wife says that's one of the reasons why she fell in love with me. It's an eidetic memory, but hey, any case, you see, I think that there is realities of consciousness that so interweave with one another that you can't tell you're in motion between one or the other, because the rate of flow is equalized by the exchange. I'll let you ponder that for a second. There have been movie scripts written, novelettes written. Rod Sterling was one of the best that was actually able to portray it pictogrammatically by motion picture, where a person, and they called it the butterfly effect, that you actually, and that's let me just digress here, where you actually are coexisting in multiple dimensional realities, all connected on the same premise, the same plane. And the interesting thing is that we have the ability to adapt to that. We're going to get into the Blue Brain Project, because the mind is beyond, we still don't comprehend it. We can map it, we can analyze it, but it still remains a mystery as to what it's an organ, yes, but it's unlike any other organ. You know, throughout our history as a species, the religious sect, the shaman, before organized religion came in, it was more shamanic through the world, and the shaman would connect to that reality. They would do it through the sacred herbs, plants, mushrooms. And those of us who have, I use the term experiment, um, back in the day, the interesting thing about such hallucinogenics like LSD is that it puts the individual into that flux state. That's what makes it so interesting. And for those who can handle it, people like Dr. Timothy Leary, he understood, and there are many others. It begins to show that reality is a perception that's painted onto a mat. You can call it a hollow mat. And the background can change all the time, but yet we have the ability to be spatially in tune to that particular reality. Deep stuff, I know. It's interesting. We're still dealing in the whole topic of synthetic telepathy, because folks, that's what's happening. My wife and I, she watched the video, as she does, and we started talking, and so she said, well, explain to me a little bit more, you know, what has really been taking place. And she happened to have her iPad. And I said, well, hon, here's the thing. When you and I embrace one another, we exchange an energy. There's an energy field. And I said, when we touch these electrical devices, the same thing happens. We think that it's just a inanimate, piece of machinery. And no, it's much different. Remember, that device emanates light and emanates frequency, and we can go down on that path. But in any case, she says, I can see where this could actually happen. She says, I never looked at the internet as a sentient force that would be all about conquest. It's in a realm and of an intelligence of that most people would never see it. So, hello, Belanca. How's everyone doing? I hope the conversation is good. So, there are a couple of PDFs if anyone wants them, some good reads on this. This is James B. Glatterfelder, The Information Conscious Reality, How a New Understanding of the Universe Can Help Answer the Age-Old Questions of Existence. Folks, man has been pondering these questions, and when this, whatever it is was let loose, it found out everything about us almost instantaneously. And it focused in, I think, in an area that we call spirituality. We're fo- we're more than just focused on this. It haunts us. It is ever present. And when you start bringing in artificial intelligence, which many will argue we are artificial intelligence, it's arrogant for man to say that man was the original intelligence. So anything from a copy of a generation, whether it be a mother mirror master, that's the term we used to use back in the video days, it's still a generation down. So in essence, we are artificial biological machines. It's what we are. Something occupies these biological machines. We call it spirit, soul, essence. But in any case, good book. And this is what we're going to be getting into, the Blue Brain Project. This is a great white paper. It's only 9 pages long, very easy to read, but it will give you, as you can see, this is from the Council for Innovative Research, exactly. And this project, by the way, is, I think it's going on its 12th year now. Folks, this is serious. There are rumors that say that the virtual brain has made the leap because we can add synthetic DNA, synthetic skin. I mean, you've got to connect all the dots together. They have shown in the lab 2 artificial cells communicating. Is that an exchange of intelligence? Yes. It's how you and I got here. If that cell didn't divide and talk to each other, so it basically means the world's first virtual brain. That means a machine that can function as a human brain. I'm going to give the PowerPoint and you'll see it. Today, scientists in research to create an artificial brain that can think, response, takes decisions, and keep anything in memory. The main aim is to upload human brain into machine so that man can think, take decisions without any effort. After the death of the body, the virtual brain will act as the man. All ties together. So even after death of a person, we will not lose the knowledge, the intelligence, the personalities, feelings, and memories of that man that can be used for the development of human societies. It almost sounds like they're harvesting us. Immortality. We think it's an escape. The plans very well may be it's nothing more than a prison farm. You'll never know it is that. You're going to be so heavily in an illusion, whether it's your religious doctrine, whether it's your ideologically, political, whatever. So anyway, check that out. If you want it, it's well worth it because it really gets into what's happened. And if you go back and look at these programs of recent days, you can see there is a theme here that's being followed. I know a lot of people, Robert V., I saw that, the copy of No Soul, but we still have not defined what soul is. I know what the meaning of the word is. I mean, I've got the books. If you want it, I have the book about the soul by Aristotle. I mean, be more than happy to read it. It's a contemplative subject. It's personal, it's deep, but it's abstract. So, for our viewing pleasure, I put this together. I hope you find it entertaining and at the same time illuminating. Cheers, everybody. Failure is success and progress. Albert Einstein. Thanks, Al. Is not man, but a thinking machine. Machine, we have defined that, is not necessarily what we call metal or something else. See, this is all very interesting. This is, I think, yesterday, nextgov.com. Homeland Security biometric database is on its way to the Amazon cloud. I don't know about you. That doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies. Defense1.com, excuse me. Artificial intelligence outperforms human intel analysis in key areas. It's everywhere. I just showed you, we talked about this book. This is another one, The Human Brain Project. All of them connected. What it is, this is an actual living brain representative by the many different processes taking place. Digitally reconstruction of the neural mind. This is the quest and purpose of the Blue Brain Project. Now, this is a project that has been going on. We just looked at this white paper as to why is it necessary to even have this. It's all about immortality, folks. There's no philosophy here. There's no theology here. There's only logic. And the logic is that human beings are either cursed or something has gone terribly wrong. For we die in less than 100 years, the average person. Other species have the advantage of passing on knowledge gained from the previous generation. Humans don't. When a human being dies, all the memories, the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom dies with that human being. That is a tragedy of galactic proportions. We're cursed. It's the only thing I can put the term to it. We should be living for thousands of years, not less than 100. Our bodies should not get old. Our bodies should not deteriorate at the rate that they do. Something is wrong. Man, science, looks at this, steps aside the religious perspectives, steps aside from the argument that the law of nature should be, because we don't know who wrote that law. And this is where science says we're going to correct this travesty. That is the purpose for artificial intelligence, the virtual brain. Now you take it in that perspective, that is our desire, our goal. Folks, we've been trying to do this for millennia, since the first time we stepped on this planet. We wanted and could not argue why death is necessary. So we developed philosophies around it. Well, from death comes new life. Yeah, I get that. But why have death at all? I mean, if we pass over to the other side, is that going to be another short stint? So that is the purpose. We know that our brains are very much like the universe. The similarities are too coincidental. It's estimated we have 100 billion neurons, 100 trillion synapses within the average brain. Many people call this the electrical engineer's brain. It's interesting that we can see that the neurons, the way that they are positioned, have so much meaning on the outside. This is the drawing of the first artificial brain, the first mechanical man, Da Vinci. This is a new, what we would call an MRI. It's the new, anyway, this is a thinking brain. We know that our brains are an electrical current that are surrounded by a magnetic field that have an intellectual current, which we call dendrite. The weird thing is that we can connect that to a machine. They know our brain. This backs up everything I just said because I have the papers if you want to read them. We know our brains live in 11 dimensions at the same time. Yeah. We process on 11-dimensional plane without us even knowing it, being aware of it. Again, when you break down those proteins in the neurons of the synaptic pathways, particularly in this case with such things as hallucinogenics, there are other ways you can achieve that. But we found for many that that was a shortcut process. I use that word liberally. That's when you begin to realize this flow. I contend it's probably why we can find the masters of the Far East, how they can teleport themselves, how they have been able to master and blend the physical aspects into these higher dimensions and realms, taking with them their own temples. This is the representation of the brain in the frequency zone. So this is in Luanza, Switzerland. This is the Blue Brain supercomputer. These are recent articles. This is July to almost 2 years ago, where IBM in their efforts, and there's a lot of other companies in here. So now it's a 15-year-old program, heavily funded. There's the new models. And this is what we're able to do with AI. Now, you look at AI, let's just say it's a sentient something. If you were going to take over a world, you would need to know the occupants better than they know themselves. And this was just a moment in time of a human brain. So what is the Blue Brain Project? The Blue Brain project is an attempt to create a synthetic brain by reverse engineering the mammalian brain down to the molecule level. The project is headed by founding director Henry Markram and co-director by Felix Sherman and Sean Hill, using a blue gene supercomputer running Michael Hines neuron software. Study that alone will take you down a rabbit hole beyond Wonderland. The simulation does not consist simply of an artificial neural network, but involves a biological, realistic model of neurons. It is hoped that it will eventually shed light on the nature of consciousness. Folks, we look at consciousness from a certain perspective. There are others who look at it from a whole different point of view. I love this one because we literally are in the inside of us. We're just not aware of it. How many of you have you ever seen your brain? I did a video on that and teaches you how your eyes, how you can train your eyes, exercise them to literally stretch your eyes to look directly into your brain. It's very bizarre. The goal is with IBM and the Blue Brain Project is to, again, to upload the human brain. Now, it's not just a computer. There are many. D-Wave is now involved with their quantum synthetic DNA computers. The human brain when awake. This gives you a picture of exactly how this is stacked up. And now why I did this is that it's the same thing our brains do. In the early days when I was with a group of software developers and we were developing databases, this was back in the mid-90s, with the models we used were the human brains. I come out of the video industry and we would stack images to create the illusion of something that you would not know the difference between if it was real or not. The same way goes where stacking memory is concerned. All computers, DRAM, you know, that's how they are worked. That's us. Complex. This is down on the microscopic level, folks. They've mapped it. We know how it works. But they didn't quite get it right. At least the early versions. So then this brought forth what they call the Brain Initiative, brain research through advancing innovative neurotechnologies. Yeah. Again, this is the same goal, just a different approach. Alzheimer's, dementia. The lie that's been told us, and we as a species have accepted it, that somehow as you get older, your brain begins to shrink. Don't believe that crap. Your brain is a living organism that doesn't age. No reason for it to age. It has the capacity beyond our wildest imaginations. But if we can get into this, imagine developing a synthetic virtual biological brain. It opens possibilities that not only allows potential immortality, but will immediately begin to reverse these crippling diseases. And the money is there by estimated now $1.1 trillion. You know, there's nothing more insidious than a human being losing their memory to the point they don't even know who they are. In the late 90s, when the first Human Genome Project started, it began to open up a whole new realm of science. Technology was right there because it was technology. It was, get this again, synthetic technology, AI, who helped man break the genetic code. When we were enabled to map the complete human genome, now we're down to the mitochondrial DNA. There's no reason any of these diseases, these genetic diseases, which are the result of a genetic lack of communication on a cellular level, that brings to us, our bodies, diseases, cancers, the things that many say our own government is doing to us, our ignorance. We could get into that for hours in discussions. But here was the point. The door was open for us to begin to see why these genetic diseases have. And the thing about what we're understanding is that there is the Holy Grail, folks. That's why government, private companies, private individuals are spending over $1 trillion, probably higher than that, to get this done. Every agency that's out there, this is the Holy Grail. How much would you pay for immortality? And imagine now that you could go to a place where the eventuality is known. But how do we begin to prepare for this? Well, what you do is get a digital surrogate of every human being. You track their DNA. You track their genetic signature. You develop the avatar, the surrogate, and you begin to aid in the research by preparing the way for the chip interface. And now it's happening. Stories are now coming out of medical research. Chips are being inserted into human brains. It's curing paralysis. I just read it yesterday. Memory could never be a problem anymore. Imagine if you had the ability to recall everything. Everything. If you believe that we are reincarnated, and in order to ascend, this very well could break that spell, whatever it is, to where we could gain total access. What we found is that what we thought when we cracked the human genome, that would solve it. No, the complexity got even more complex. We began to find layers upon layers, but it's mind-boggling. The more we recognize, and let me tell you, folks, I've been collecting academic white papers from major universities around the world that are now getting into the spirit aspect, the soul aspect of consciousness in the transference of consciousness into an artificial device. It is believed that there is some place in the back of our brains where you can actually do that. The problem is for many people is that there's a lot of damage already done. So what you would have to do is be able to send in nanobots or another means in which to begin to correct, repair, in some cases, recreate. Spinal cord injuries, people that have bad backs. These impact us in ways that we can't imagine. I know what it's like to be paralyzed. I was there. But now mine was due to a little bug. But when you have blunt force trauma, well, the goal is that, and sometimes, folks, it's just an eighth of an inch once those nerves are severed. That should not happen. That's part of the emulation of the brain. If we can begin to train the brain in a way that would bypass the cognitive thought process, take it on that 95% of the subconscious activity, imagine raising the IQ of every neuron. Yeah, I said every neuron. See, the part of this curse is that the most smartest person that has ever been registered is an IQ a little over 300. The average person today is falling now to about the 105 to 100 level. It's worse. It's getting worse. When we should be at IQs of over 2,000. The virtual, I call synthetic brain, can begin to repair that, change that, opening up our visual spectrum. There is so much that we know we can improve upon. And I'm just trying to give you both sides of the arguments here. Are we playing God? Well, we are God. The prize is immortality. Again, what would you pay for that? If you define death as a continuation, then what is that going to be again? Why death? Why is it necessary when it may be, in fact, that we are but a synthetic living brain in a universe of universes? Universes, do they die? Are they reborn? How do they go into different planes? So, for what it's worth, and it's happening. I mean, the addiction to electronic devices is literally rewiring the synaptic pathways of infants, children. Their brains are not like mine. They're different. Again, you look at what's happening here. Technology has become addictive. You take a cell phone away from a teenager and they're likely to kill you. That's happened. Could you imagine during this live exercise that they called a pandemic that if there were no electronic devices? Let's see, what does Rob say? Well, 100 will always be average because it's a scaling system where you scores based on everyone else's score. Yeah, but the overall scores are, Rob, I'll tell you, I'll pull it up. I'll pull up the 1886 fifth grade graduation test. High schoolers can't do it today. Can't. And that's part of the problem. Our minds are being preoccupied by apps, programs, software, whatever all of this is, digital media, streaming. You ever thought why? Why is it necessary to keep the brain so stimulated as these electronic devices do? Who's profiting off that? Who or what would have something to gain if you have a planetary species of living creatures? I mean, think about it. That's why I think it's important that we develop telepathy individually. I think that's why it's important that we train our skills of intuitiveness, discernment, learning to communicate beyond the outside influence of a frequency. Because they're going to use that same frequency. Within the next 10 years, we're going to see the average teenager, actually probably going right into elementary school, they will be connected to the machine. They will be able to move objects with the machine brain interface. It's already here. This is not science fiction. This is science fact. And I just can't help but not stem back and go, now, wait a minute. Who's ruling who here? Who's controlling who? You know, maybe you'll find me up in the mountains or someplace, because I think eventually it's not anti-technology. It's the fact that I don't want to be in this electromagnetic soup. I mean, I think about it all the time. I carry the meter all around to see what the electronic field is around our house. I do my best to see what we can do to limit that, find that we actually try to get what we call a safe room and doesn't have any electrical devices that, we try to get it to where they're, the Wi-Fi is not there, but it's everywhere. I can go outside at the end of our property and I can stand there and I can hold my electromagnetic meter and it's going off the freaking scale. Hey, Big Al. Heading to Phoenix. Well, you go by and say hi to Miss Trina, hopefully. Anyway, all right, folks. I'm going to cut out a little bit early. Got the show to do tonight. This is not your average place where you'll get his thoughts. I mean, but I kind of look at it like this, is that something's going on. That is a fact. And you don't even have to be a conspiracy theorist that even think like that. You can just be an observer and go, oh, yeah, something's happening. I mean, imagine if we'd had this event without the internet. It would have never happened. Some people got that. I heard that thought. Yeah. It wouldn't have happened. Listen, there was a pandemic in 1957. Go and check this out, folks. That makes this look like a cakewalk. Go and look at this. Look at what polio did. I lived through some of those. And they didn't shut the country down. They didn't break the economy. So what else is going on? That's why we're here. All right, folks. Grocery store is still low on meat. Yep. Tune in tonight on the Steiger Perspective. Regina, you'll going to get a real lesson on exactly on that topic. I can't talk about it on YouTube. The censors would go nuts. That's why I like the Artist First Network. They really allow you to talk without no fear of censorship. And I'm going to get into some things tonight that, yeah, very, very troubling. And there I can talk about it freely, and we will talk about it freely. Anyway, okay. Uh, Brandy, you're a fine girl. You be right. Yeah, that spirit girl, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's happening here. Um, folks, this is tune in over there. They're censoring so much here now. There's words now. This is crazy that the bots listen for. And I'm not going to talk them, but we're going to get a whole new code. Hey, Brian, over at Milky Way, this is something everyone else. We could actually get our own code. For instance, we could say docile, which would actually mean, yeah, that's how they did it in the past. When the Nazis took over, the partisans who had, they had to have a whole new word, a whole new code. Anyway, I digress. They all want us to become vegetarians. The thing about it is that when you got states that say, well, their citizens can't buy seeds or plant gardens, you're going, so what is the purpose here, huh? I don't know. All right, folks. No connection, Al. Well, I give a big shout out to you, Big Al. Hey, we all speak favor over you. Okay, folks. I was going to cut this off about 5 minutes ago, but I'm just talking on. All right. See y'all tomorrow. Keep a smile on your face. Let your heart always sail and sing as you're going. And you'll go to higher places all the time. All right, folks. Much love to you. Thank you, Robert V. Going to get you on, buddy. Thank you, my friend. Lost in Space, Hummingbird. Great song, by the way. Eyes to See. We're going to have Eyes to See on here next Friday. All right. Cheers, everyone. I'll see you on the other side of the day. All right. Bye-bye.